I want to, kind of go back and talk about industrial applications and robotics. And what I want to start with there is, just talking about what do you love about that space and what do you see that's happening there now that excites you, that interests you, just broadly.
Well, I think there's a bunch of things happening in manufacturing and industrial applications. Number one is that I think we were sent the wrong signal by the last 40 or 50 years of deindustrialization in the United States. Labor we went from in the 1950s, somewhere around 27 or 28% of Americans worked directly in manufacturing and in industrial applications. Today it's 7%. 1/5 of the labor force has been shed from that industry. And yet we still make more stuff than we did then. And that has been through automation, through investments in capital rather than labor. But it has also made people feel like that's sort of the wrong thing to be investing in, when I think it's actually not. The second thing that I think people miss about that is that a lot of the supply chains that were globalized, in particular globalized into countries that have a hostile security posture against the United States, are pretty vulnerable. And for the last 2 years, first with COVID, now with war, we are seeing the downsides of that degree of dependency on people who don't like us and who we may or may not want to like in return. And that has to come back. Like we should be manufacturing the stuff we need close to home, whether it's in the United States or in other places like that. We should be manufacturing it in democratic countries that do not invade their neighbors. And we should be doing so with a diversity of suppliers so that we are not left in positions like we are today, where 3 million fewer cars are going to be sold this year than would otherwise have been for a lack of microchips. So all of these things are happening. A huge amount of risk was taken on over the last 40 years, and we are now paying the price for that risk. Now, we're not going to get manufacturing employment in the United States back to 25%. At the time that was the case, only 7 or 8% of Americans were college educated. Today, about 40 or 50% of people under the age of 30 will complete a bachelor's degree by the time they're 40. I don't think anyone with a bachelor's degree is going to want to work doing industrial sanding and grinding of fiberglass. That's not what I think people do that for. As a result, if we're going to continue to make stuff out of fiberglass, then we're going to have to automate that entire process. And that's where I think a lot of the opportunities are coming in robotics. And then we're having similar issues in IoT for production efficiency. We're having similar issues in supply chain management. We're having similar issues in traceability to make sure that product quality and production scheduling is all handled in the way it should be. And what I love about all of this stuff is that there's essentially a never-ending frontier of work to be done. The moment you optimize or debottleneck one step of a process, the bottleneck moves upstream or downstream, and you have something to do anew. And the culture of manufacturing innovation in our country, influenced by Lean and Six Sigma and Kaizen, is very attuned to that idea of continuous improvement. And that means that there is always a tailwind for adoption of technology.